Good evening, welcome to Year 11 Rating Achievement presentation. Obviously things have to look a little bit different this year and it has to be done in a slightly different format, but I hope you find the presentation useful for yourselves and for the students that you have in Year 11. Last week I gave Year 11 an assembly and went through an overview of what they can expect from this year and the support that's available to them. This evening's presentation aims to do a similar thing for parents and offer a little bit of advice about how you can support your child at home as well. Myself and Mr. Noble will be presenting some top tips that we've got to help you and your child prepare for the year ahead. So, as you may or may not be aware, Year 11 is the shortest academic school year. So starting now and finishing just ahead of the exams. We do not do traditional study leave here at Miltoncross. We keep the students on site with us, doing extra revision classes and exam skills sessions right up until their GCSEs. So students don't go home, they don't spend periods of time at home studying, they stay in school with us until the date of their last exam, so that we can give them all the support that we possibly can to get them through the exams. Like I explained to Year 11 last week, 93% of their school career is now complete. If you think about, they've been in education since they were 4 years old, and this is the final year now, but it's the one that makes the biggest difference. And these numbers start to look a little bit intimidating, but we aim to support you as best as we possibly can. So there are only 30 school days now until their November mock examinations, meaning there's only 140 school days left until the very first GCSE exam. We break that down a little bit further. We're looking at 105 English and maths lessons and just 62 lessons in the option subjects. So it is more important than it ever has been to make every single one of those lessons count.
Okay, so now some top tips on what parents should not be saying to their teenagers in Year 11. Comparing siblings with one another does not help. Remember how well your sister did is not a helpful thing to repeat or say even once to your young one in Year 11, especially now with the challenging circumstances they face. That leads quite nicely into at least exams are much easier now. The students have had a number of months at home learning, which means they have not had the extra support that other Year 11s would have had. There are more hours in exams now than there were 2 or 3 years ago. For example, maths have got 3 exams, so that's 4.5 hours worth just for one subject. A number of other subjects also have more hours in the exams than previous year groups. So they're not much easier now. And also the grade boundaries have only ever gone up year on year. You can only do your best, cannot be helpful, because they can actually prepare themselves a lot better by following the advice from the teachers, listening in class, and doing a thorough revision plan. So only doing your best doesn't help. If you don't know it by now, also we know that not to be true, because we can always learn new things even just before the exam, but it's better to prepare well in advance rather than leaving things to the last minute. We won't be angry if you don't get the grades, just disappointed. A particular favourite of some parents, but likewise not very helpful for the confidence of the student. And we'll go through some slides later on about how confidence is important. And failure is not an option. Just doesn't make sense, if I'm honest with you, because failure may happen and there may be reasons for it. What we're trying to do is prepare you to make sure that failure doesn't happen. Okay, and then this is also the biggest race of your life. Students are actually racing against each other, not just in the school, but across the country. There's around 600,000 Year 11s this year, and they don't set the grade boundaries until all the exams have been taken. So you are in a race against every one of those 600,000 people to get the highest mark you can before they even set the grade boundaries. So please start to warm up and start to prepare for that race from today onwards.
Okay, so you know that this is a really big year ahead. You know that, the students know that. And what we're trying to reassure you with now is how to structure that year, what it should look like, so that when your children enter their exams, they're as prepared and confident and comfortable as they possibly can be. What we're looking to be in the position to offer is a year that's structured so that the training for these exams comes in over the year, not simply just the weeks before the exam. So that training has to start now from September. We structure the school year for year 11 so that we can have a calm, measured and continuous preparation for those big days in May and June. So what that will look like is, prior to the mock exams, myself and Mrs. Mason will offer revision strategy sessions to all of the students in year 11 to really give them some help on how they can revise best at home. Have a lot of students in year 11 that come and say, I know I need to revise, but I don't know how. I don't know what to do, what activities to do. So those revision strategy sessions will give students some practical support and resources for how they can revise at home. We're also offering intervention, more intervention than we've ever offered. So there will be large numbers of year 11 being using PE time for a little while to catch up work that they may have missed over the lockdown period in English, maths and science. As we approach the exams, we'll also be looking at after school revision. That does usually start in January. Obviously, that may need to look a little bit different this year, but we will put something in place to support additional revision with their teachers. After that, we will then look at an Easter school and May half term. So lots and lots of support ahead of the exams.
Okay, so now we've got our top 10 tips to support your child through their exams. Lots of different areas to go through. You can see the 10 different areas there, and we're going to go through them one at a time, but likewise, please do pause the video when you need to if you'd like to make notes. Okay, our first tip is being a good role model. So we need to make sure that we're setting a good example by modeling the behavior we want our child to adopt. So as parents and guardians, we need to make sure that we are planning for the week, eating healthily and well and often, keeping hydrated, leading an active life, staying calm, being organized, and having good sleep habits. That last one, good sleep habits, is the one that our students normally struggle with the most, especially with the influences of social media and online gaming, but they are all important. We need to make sure that we are planned, healthy, hydrated, organized, and sleeping well throughout the week. Okay, on to number 2.
Setting a goal is really, really important. So I've had several conversations with year 11s over last week about colleges and what they would like to do next year. So if you can have conversations about that at home, it really helps students to focus, because they have a goal and think, right, this is what I would like to do in the future. This is the college course I would like to do next year. And then being able to recognise that and knowing the qualifications that they need to get from the end of their time at Miltoncross in order to do that. It really helps them focus and gives that kind of positive reinforcement, connecting what they are doing at school with why they are doing it and what they want to achieve. My next tip is on keeping active. So it's recommended that teenagers do 60 minutes of activity a day. So that could be broken down into 3 short sessions, planning to do active things together at a weekend, going out for a walk together, help them plan weekly exercise in advance. Because after exercise, your brain functions really well. So it's a good idea to have a little break after school before you go into revision. So, but making that an active break would be really, really useful. So even if it's a brisk walk down the seafront or go out together to walk a dog, then come back and then start that revision after that active break.
Okay, healthy eating, obviously a personal favourite of mine with my sports science background. It's worth noting that a 5% drop in hydration levels is equal to a 20% drop in performance. So we need to make sure that we are eating healthy and staying hydrated. So it'll be very useful to plan out meals beforehand so that we're organised and we know we've got all the right fuels on board. I like to always bring it back to the thinking of having a car. If you've got a really expensive Ferrari, but then you don't put any fuel in there, no petrol, then the car's not going to go very far and it's not going to go very fast. So we need to make sure that we're avoiding the wrong sorts of fuel, high sugar and fatty foods, and aim for the other more healthier meals, particularly around exam season. So that's also worth preparing for with your mocks, so you know how you'll be feeling in that exam hall during your mocks as well. That's what they're there for, to prepare you for the summer. So we make sure that we do eat fresh and healthy foods, plenty of water, and then we can have occasional treats. But please do make sure every student is encouraged to have breakfast every day to set up the body and the mind for the challenges ahead. Eating the right food and drinking the right drinks can energize your system, improve alertness, and sustain your child through the long exams. We've obviously got the balancing acts on your screen now, the carbs, the proteins, and the fats. And it's about having that balanced diet to make sure that we've got all the fuel the students need. Some extra information on the board there, which I'm not going to read through, but what it does is help show you that it is not all about having the same thing all the time. We do need to have a mixture. So we've got the macro cheat sheet there, some information about mighty magnesium, and also the B's and omega-3s, and where you can get those essential nutrients from the different types of food that you can find them in.
As important as it is to revise and study and spend a lot of time doing those things after school as well as in school, taking time out is really important. Okay, so it's significant not to underestimate that. And if you notice that your child is perhaps doing revision to a little bit too much, or perhaps obsessively, this does happen every single year. We have students that put too much pressure on themselves and end up burning out, and then very disappointingly underperforming at the end of the exam period because they haven't allowed themselves breaks. So taking time out is as important as putting time in, and giving these breaks, like seeing friends or reading a book or listening to music or doing a hobby, particularly an active hobby that they enjoy, is really important to build that into the weekly study programme as well.
Okay, sleep patterns. Young people need between 8 and 9 hours of sleep per night. So we need to make sure that they're in an environment where they can remain calm and relaxed and get some high quality sleep. So they need a few top tips is make sure we do not have screen time. So on the phones, TVs, anything like that, but directly before bed. Avoid eating too late at night. Avoid caffeine or sugary drinks. So we're thinking of Coca-Cola, those sorts of things. Stop work before going to bed. So allow your brain time to relax and unwind before trying to go to sleep. Otherwise, we get into the usual working up until we go to sleep. The brain's still on, got lots and lots going through your brain whilst you're trying to sleep and thinking of doing your to-do list or things you need to do the next day. You need to allow your brain time to unwind before you go to sleep and go to bed. So stop work, no caffeine, avoid eating too late, and then also encourage them to turn off any sort of social media, technology, computer games, etc., to get high quality sleep of between 8 and 9 hours per night.
Okay, potentially the most challenging one for parents and actually for young people themselves is this unplugging, helping your children to unplug from technology every day. Like Mr. Noble has just mentioned, switching off from technology at least 30 minutes to an hour before going to sleep is really, really important. It's been proven that light, staring at that light before you go to sleep, affects the quality of sleep that's then had. Making sure they put their phone away or on silent while they're concentrating on tasks, revision, homework. Lots of teenagers will say, I can revise whilst I've got my phone on at the same time, or we're chatting about it on social media. They're just not. Okay, we know that, you know that, and it's really difficult for them to switch off whilst that phone is with them in their room. Young people particularly feel a lot of pressure to reply to social media comments immediately and keep up that constant communication. If you're feeling like that, it's impossible to then concentrate on revision at the same time. Really important to help them learn to have control, not to be obsessed with their phone. And the best way to do that is to model that, because we're all perhaps a bit guilty of that. So choose some time of each day to help them switch off and unplug from technology. So it's really clear this is the time when that is happening. In the comments section of this video are some apps that can help you do that, that will block your children's apps, social media on their phone for a certain amount of time, and then you have control of that on your phone to then unlock it at a time that you have decided to do so. So check the comments section. These apps are really, really good. They'll block the social media, and then when you decide it's time for it to be unblocked and for them to be able to access again, that's when you can do that.
The students are always very happy when we start talking about blocking apps, because they really do want their parents to take control of their social media and their time on there. It's also worth noting, if they are arguing about using their phone to revise, they're not allowed to use their phone or listen to music in the exams. So whilst revising, it's best to do it without a phone and without music on, because that is what the exam scenario will be like. Staying cool and calm. We know that stress is part of the GCSE year, probably more so this year with the situation we've already had. And helping students to plan out coping strategies to deal with their stress can be very beneficial. We're looking to help them to understand their stress and focus on controlling the controllables. Some might say don't sweat the small stuff, but don't sweat the things that you cannot control. You need help establish good routines which will help to reduce the anxiety of trying to decide what to do, and then promote a balance of their academic studies and also activities outside during the week for them to stay motivated. The stress response, also known as the fight or flight response, is critical during emergency situations. A little of this stress can help keep you on your toes, ready to rise to the challenge, and the nervous system quickly returns to its normal state, standing by to respond again when needed. But stress doesn't always happen in response to things that are immediate or that are over quickly. Ongoing or long-term events like coping with a difficult situation at home or work pressure at school can cause stress too. Long-term stress situations can produce a lasting low-level stress that's hard on people. The nervous system senses continued pressure and may remain slightly activated and continue to pump out extra stress hormones over an extended period. This can wear out the body's reserves, leave a person feeling depleted or overwhelmed, weakening the body's immune system and cause other problems. Although just enough stress can be a good thing, stress overload is a different story. Too much stress isn't good for anyone. For example, feeling a little stress about a test coming up can help motivate you to study harder. But stressing out too much over the test can make it hard to concentrate on the material you need to learn.
Okay, the most important thing you can give your child over this year is confidence. Last week during the virtual assembly, I read out comments that staff here had said about current year 11, about the children in this year group, and they were overwhelmingly positive. There were 3-4 slides filled with positive comments. We absolutely know and believe that they can do that this year. And it's really important for you to reinforce that at home, boost their confidence, celebrate successes if they've achieved small goals like completing a section of coursework or doing well on a test in class or on the mock exam. Really important that those are talked about and celebrated all the time at home. Show them that you're really proud of them and keep reinforcing that belief in themselves will really, really help them to achieve.
And the last of our 10 top tips to help students prepare to perform is be supportive. We've already spoken about being organised and make sure the students got somewhere quiet to help them to revise their own personal space, and also well fed and watered and sleeping well. But being a good listener and approachable and just generally being positive and supportive can help them no end. Not comparing them to other siblings, not talking about the extra challenges they had, not coming up with excuses before they take their exams or before they start revising. We don't want to do any of that. We want to make sure that we are supporting our young people as best as possible, because we all, you as the parents and guardians and us as the staff at the school, want them to be as positive and as successful as possible in their exams and their studies. So we make sure we're good listeners, we're approachable, and sometimes we are just someone to rant at, someone to shout at, and then once they've got that out of their system, someone for them to share their problems with. Just be there for them, offer care and advice, and we're going to help them to deal with their emotions and feelings so they can be as successful as possible in their exams.
Okay, from here, so there's a few things that you may wish to start using already. There's a time organisation tool called getrevising.co.uk. I'd really recommend going on to there with your child, and on there are all kinds of different things that you can do. But one of the main tools it's got is a revision timetable generator. So you can put in the subjects that you do, and it will recommend to you what you should be revising each week, each evening, and how long for. Tomorrow morning, Year 11 will be given several things to take away from them with them during period 1. One of those things is a list of the exam boards that they are doing for each subject. Once you've got that list of exam boards, the students should know that anyway, but if they don't, they will be getting it out in a list, and then you can look at it together at home as well. Once you've got that list, you can go onto the exam board's website, and on the exam board's website are all kinds of past papers, past questions, and things that you can do. Doing past papers is the best form of revision. Doing a timed question in time conditions that you do at home in silence is extremely useful. But then bringing those back into school, teachers will be more than happy to mark them. Our mock week, so our first mock exam week for Year 11 begins on the 9th of November. So that's another date for your diary there. And college open days information, all of those are available on the college website. So I really advise that you go onto the college website, have a look at their open days, download the prospectus and see what is being offered there. Year 11 should be should be applying for college now. We aim for all Year 11 to have applied by Christmas. If anybody needs help or support with applying for college, please let us know, and you can email that on the email that's been going across the bottom of the screen. Equally, if there are any other questions or concerns that you have, please email me on the email that's been going across on the bottom of the screen, and I'll be more than happy to help.
Okay, so as Mrs. Greeley said, please do send on any questions you may have. We will publish all the questions and the answers from Monday next week. They'll be on our website. Now we're going to pass over to Ms. Calderbank, who's going to talk about the importance of working hard from today and what extra measures we put in to help you during COVID-19. Thanks very much.
Hello, Year 11. Last year was a difficult year, and I think it might be not quite as difficult, but difficult this year as well. You know that last year grades went on centre assessed grades. I think this year the government will do everything they can to ensure that exams are taken in some shape or form, whether it's online or in a lower form. So what we have to do is make sure that we've got lots of evidence, because they will check things to show what grades you're at. So every single piece of work, your mock exams particularly, will be really important, and everything else that we can do to show, what you can do, what you are capable of, is important this year, more so than it has been in every other year. Like I said, it is likely that you will take examinations, but we need to have all that in place if things change or if papers are reduced, etc., etc. So I know you'll have listened to all the advice in this video. We're really glad to have you back. Year 11 did well last year, and hopefully you will do exactly the same, and we will do everything we can to make sure you have the grades that you need to go on to the next level at college. I know that you're only with Year 11s at the moment, and there's lots of changes, but hopefully we'll be able to manage things so that you can stay in school. If that doesn't happen, we have a full programme of online lessons, so you will have 5 hours a day at home. If for any reason, you may have to go home for a couple of days or not. But at the moment, as you know, the best thing for you to be is back in school, getting on with your work, looking forward to next year, and getting a place in the college you want. So best of luck with everything, and just listen to all the advice in the video.